In this section, we're going to continue our discussion with right triangles, but we're going to talk about an idea called tangent and its ratio. So this is going to be a section where there's going to be some calculation-based stuff, and you may have to use your calculator. So let's take a look at how they set these up. So first of all, if you do tangent, in your calculator, you typically probably have seen a button that says TAN on it. So tangent, this is its abbreviation. Now to be able to do tangent, you have to choose an angle in the right triangle that's not the 90-degree angle. So if I were to choose A, then if I were to draw a line out of it, it would hit this side. So that would be the opposite side of angle A. This side, hypotenuse, is easy to find because it's across the 90-degree angle. Adjacent is the other side that is hooked to your angle. If angle A is our focus, angle A is made up of this side and the hypotenuse. So this side is called adjacent. It's adjacent because it's one of the sides that actually helps create the angle. So it shares a common piece with your focus angle of A. So let me show you how this works on this kind of a triangle. So first of all, they want us to write this for both angles T and U. Now I'm going to tell you, if I draw these for more than one, I automatically will draw more than one triangle. In my mind, it's a whole lot easier to do that than it is to try and label things more than once. So I just want you to watch for a second what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw the exact same triangle that's there. And then I'm going to draw a line. I want this one in particular. I'm going to use this where angle T is the focus. And this one, angle U, is going to be the focus. So let's go through and start labeling stuff. Now, first of all, regardless of which triangle we look at, 5's the longest side, so it probably makes sense that you know that this is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to label that. Now, if my focus angle is T, typically when it's a focus angle, I tend to circle it. And then if I draw a line going across, this line, this side that's 3 will be opposite, which leaves this to be adjacent. Now the way that tangent works, tangent is the opposite side over adjacent. So if I'm going to do the tangent of angle T, my opposite side would be 3. My adjacent side would be 4. So my tangent would be 3 over 4. Now, I could put that in a calculator and get 0.75, and that's all well and good, but they're just asking us to write the ratio. So if you're writing a ratio, reduce it if you can, and if you can't, then that's the final answer. Now in this one, angle U is my focus. So this side right here would be opposite, which makes 3 the hypotenuse. So if I'm going to do tangent is opposite over adjacent, then the tangent of U is going to be 4 over 3. And since I can't reduce it, that's the final answer. Now look at these two answers. I have 3 over 4 and 4 over 3. Don't you see how they're reciprocals of each other, or the flipped over version of each other? That's going to be true anytime you look at the two angles and find the tangents in a right triangle. Remember, those two angles cannot be the 90-degree angle. So let's see how we can actually solve something using this. So on this kind of a problem, I have these two sides, and I can definitely see that this 54 is my focus angle, which makes W opposite, 10 adjacent, and the side I don't know anything about is the hypotenuse. So to do this, this is a little different because we actually know what the measurement is. So the tangent of 54 degrees is going to equal opposite, which is W, over 10, which is adjacent. Now to solve this problem, it's pretty straightforward. Make it a proportion and cross multiply. So 1 times W is W. Then the other way, it's 10 times the tangent of 54 degrees. Now please be aware, if you have something times the tangent of something, put that number in front. Otherwise, it'll just multiply your angle instead of the whole thing. So in your calculator, you're actually going to go in and do 10 times the tangent of 54 degrees. If I do that and I round it to the nearest tenth, I get 13.8. Now, if you didn't get 13.8 when you put it in there, I would probably guess that maybe you need to go in the mode of your calculator and make sure degrees is turned on and not your radians. So just something to think about. Okay, now let's try it with this one. Here's my focus angle. So this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. So to solve this problem, the tangent of 28 degrees is going to equal opposite over adjacent. I'm going to put it over 1. Let me just move this up a little bit so we can see a little better. If I cross multiply, I get W times the tangent of 28 degrees equals 1 times 1 is 1. Now I want W by itself. So I'm going to divide it by the tangent of 28 degrees. So I'm going to have to do 1 divided by the tangent of 28 degrees. So I end up in this one with 1.9. So this is kind of taking what we did in Chapter 7 with the proportions and the new information about sides that are opposite and adjacent and hypotenuse and kind of putting them all together. Okay, let's go back to this one. This one says they want us to find the measure of x. They want us to find this angle here. So if I went through and looked at this side is opposite, this side would be adjacent, and this side right here would be hypotenuse. Now since our focus is on tangent, we need to work on that. So tangent of x is opposite over adjacent. Now since x is on here, we have to really get this off, the tangent. The way that this works is usually in your calculator you'll see a button that will look like this. It'll say tangent to the -1. Really what that is the opposite. So you know how when we're trying to move something, if it's multiplied by 3, we'll divide both sides by 3. If it's plus 3, then we'll subtract 3. So the opposite of tangent is this inverse tangent. And then I'm actually going to do parentheses after it and do 6 divided by 8. So usually it's a shift and tangent button in most calculators. So then I do 6 divided by 8 in my parentheses. Now in this one, if they ask you to find an angle, this is 36.869, keeps going. Most of the time they have you do angles to the nearest degree, which would be here. So this is enough to round up. So that's going to be 37 degrees for x. So there's kind of 3 pieces. How do you find it when you just need to do the ratio? How do you use it to find a side that's missing? And how do you use it to find an angle that's missing? Let's see if we can fit maybe 1 or 2 more in here. So in this problem, it wants us to write ratios for angle A and angle B. So again, remember how I talked about before, I'm actually going to draw the identical triangle. Everything about it is the same as far as drawing it to begin with. And then I'm going to draw a line. And then I'm going to use one side to use angle A as its focus. And angle B is its focus. So if I do this one, if my focus is angle A, this side is opposite, this side is adjacent, and this side is hypotenuse. So to do tangent of A, I would do opposite over adjacent. Now if I focus on this next one, B is my focus angle. So this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. So the tangent of B is opposite over adjacent. Now notice these are just flipped over versions or reciprocals of each other. That's going to be important to know later on. Okay, I'm going to try one more. Okay, to find the measure of the height of a tree, Elma walked 125 feet from the tree and measured a 32-degree angle from the ground to the top of the tree. Estimate the height of the tree. So since I don't know how tall this is, I'm going to make it X. So in a triangle like that, here's my focus angle. This X is going to be my opposite. I'm going to make X a little darker there. That means this side's going to be adjacent. So that means the tangent of 32 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now remember, make it a proportion and cross multiply. So 1 times X is X. The other direction, it's 125 times the tangent of 32 degrees. Now, please be aware, make sure that 125 is first. And if I was going to go through and solve this and put in my calculator, I get 78.1086, keeps going. So if I were going to estimate this, then 78.1 feet would probably be a pretty good estimation.